solving these damn puzzles. Okay. 1 1 1 1 1. Okay. 1 1 1 1 1 2. Okay. 1 1 1 1 1 4. Did I skip? I think I skipped 3 4 5 6 7. 3 4 5 6 8. Please let me. Please. They probably had a really nice bathroom too.
It has been many, many years since Jonathan Blow released the inventive time-based platformer, Braid. Actually, it's only been around 7 years since that game came out, but in the gaming world, 7 years is a long-ass time. Now, considering this is an indie game, Jonathan's new game has had an insane amount of hype behind it ever since the PS4 was first announced. The Witness is a first-person puzzle game that has you explore an island, very similar to the 90s game Myst. In a time where an entire game dedicated to puzzle solving doesn't necessarily sound like the recipe for success, The Witness is the puzzle game you have always dreamt of. Except this is very much real. Now before we continue, The Witness doesn't have a soundtrack, which benefits the game in many ways. But for the sake of this video, we need some sort of music to play in the background. Let's see. I think we could try Tool. I guess that doesn't really seem to work. We could try Journey. No, other Journey. Ooh, that works perfectly. And this will definitely be the least specific review I've ever made to date, as both the story and the gameplay is best experienced without knowing any of the details going into the game. So for your sake, I'm going to keep this review spoiler-free in terms of story beats and late gameplay segments, so you can get the most optimal experience while also knowing how good the game actually is. The story is about, I guess I can't say anything other than you're a person wandering around the island solving puzzles on these screens. There isn't even much of a story. Instead, The Witness is much more interested in discussing and exploring themes about discovery, knowledge, and the beauty in living. The game explores these themes in many clever ways, such as inspiring real-life quotes voiced by famous video game voice actors like Ashley Johnson, who played Ellie from The Last of Us, and these themes are also explored through very clever gameplay segments. Because The Witness doesn't tell a proper narrative, it's more about what you take away from the experience itself. And usually, when a game asks me to take whatever I please from it, the results are rather mixed. Without ever realizing it, however, my imagination worked together with my mind to create a truly unique experience thanks to the cooperation in which the puzzles and environmental storytelling work together. While in the end it's hard to describe the actual goal or points of the game, this is one of the few instances throughout all of gaming in which there doesn't need to be. A good chunk of that is thanks to the beyond beautiful presentation. The graphics are truly incredible, running at a slick 60 frames per second, which may come at no surprise considering there isn't much happening on the island. Regardless, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the game's visuals. The trees move realistically, castles truly feel ancient and archaic, wandering through the multicolored swamps feels oddly real, the outdoor and indoor lighting is outstanding, and the way in which all the different parts of the island come together is impressive. And the water's also beautiful! The game is set up as an open world, so once you get through the first 10 minutes, you could truly wander the island however you see fit. All the different parts of the island are genuinely distinct and beautiful in their own way, so it's easy to memorize the layout of this island. But it's just so odd as to how beautiful, imaginative, and authentic the world is. The game uses every color of the rainbow equally, and it makes this island memorable. Throughout the entire endeavor, when I wasn't so focused on solving puzzles, I felt like a little kid roaming around a make-believe world where so many vastly different sections seem to come together and feel simultaneously separate and whole. The world design both aesthetically and structurally is as tight as any of the Souls games, which marks true excellence. What really surprised me though was the game's subtlety and restraint in some areas. The only example I'll give is that the music almost never plays. In fact, music is on in the game only less than a handful of times, which I found surprising. All you hear is your footsteps and the world around you. And because of this, there are no distractions to enjoying the experience, and it made me feel like I was one with the world. Like mentioned many times before, the goal of the game is to run around the island solving puzzles on the screen. There are only two gameplay mechanics you need to know. One is the walking part, which should come as no surprise. The only other mechanic you need to know is that when you approach the screen, or really anywhere in the world, pressing the X button locks the screen. You then guide a line around a maze from the big circle all the way to a little stub. At first you just mess around with simple mazes, but almost immediately afterwards, the game will throw different variables and rules at you, which change the puzzles completely. The game never tells you what each new symbol or mechanic is supposed to do, but the way in which it gives you hints to what they do is genius. At first, I truly thought the game's level design was broken. There were way too many puzzles that I faced early on that made absolutely no sense to me, with new symbols that were just as useful to me as words in other languages. But it turns out, Jonathan Blow is an absolute mastermind. I've heard of this rule my entire life, and I never believed it until my time with The Witness. If you don't know how to solve a problem, walk away from it and come back later. It turns out that is exactly what you're supposed to do in this game, and I walked away from unsolved puzzles a countless amount of times. The world is set up so you can pretty much go to wherever point you please, and there may be other places where you'll find the answers you need to solve puzzles in other locations. Taking my time to run around the island to learn how everything works made the most impossible looking puzzles a breeze to complete. The different ways in which you'll learn some of the new variables is either through simple puzzles that show you how they work, or through the actual world. Every single thing on this island is there for a reason, so keep both your eyes and ears open, as you might snag some clues that will blow your mind in terms of how creative the hints are. Even with these hints though, there were many puzzles at which I truly could not figure out a solution. There were a few puzzles that I stared at for a couple of hours, and because my internet isn't cooperating with me here in Ohio, I feel like I was pretty much screwed. But bringing in a fresh new pair of eyes like your sibling, friend, or family member to examine the puzzle may result in them spotting something you may have never seen before. It's a reminder that you can't keep a rigid mind. You have to examine the world and the puzzles around you in more ways than one. A smart way to live life if you ask me. And if I had to give you one more piece of advice, I found it very useful to have a camera next to me. Also, this is one of the first games I've played ever since Fez came out, where I found it very useful to have a notebook and pencil next to me, which in some ways makes The Witness feel classic. Besides the lack of a structured goal or purpose, my biggest problem with the game is navigating the world, but not for the reasons you may think. You can't adjust your speed other than the regular walking pace and sprinting. There are many moments where I just want to take it slow and enjoy the scenery, but you can't finally adjust your speed, which I found strangely disappointing. You also can't jump in the game, which I found to be a problem because of the game's level design. Everything is accessible through walking, and you can't fall from high points, which I found fairly convenient. However, it is particularly bothersome when I can't move down to the floor that's literally a foot below me. Compared to everything else though, these are incredibly nitpicky things that rarely take you out of the experience. The Witness has almost 700 puzzles to solve and a countless amount of secrets to uncover. The game took me around 30 hours to reach what I would call the ending, and even considering the game's slow pace, time flies by super quickly while playing this game. And even considering that I spent around 30 hours of the game so far, I only completed almost 400 of the regular puzzles and didn't even find half the game's secrets. There's a lot to be discovered in this game, and I'm very much looking forward to coming back to the island after some time passes, so I can see what I missed with a much more clear mind. The Witness is the puzzle game I have always dreamt about whenever I think of what a definitive puzzle game is supposed to be. It takes place on a stunning island full of beautiful locations, secrets, and charm. The puzzles, as well as the clever ways in which to find the solutions, are pure genius. The world and the gameplay work perfectly together to make the experience truly memorable, even if it is disappointing that there isn't much of a structured narrative. A $40 price tag for some of you may seem like a lot for a puzzle game. Regardless, The Witness treated me like an intelligent human being. And while there are many members of my family that definitely do not treat me like an intelligent human being, I truly felt like I accomplished something worthwhile all on my own. The Witness receives a 9.25 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and stay fresh.